Well, frankly, I wasn't sure if this day would ever come, but here we are. The Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared TV show has released. All 6 episodes are out right now, and having watched all 6 of these, I can say with full certainty that this was worth the wait. I absolutely adore this show, and before I get into the review, the first thing I want to talk about is how you should go about watching this show, because I hold it in very high regard, and as someone that's in the United States, not in the UK, that doesn't have the streaming service all 4, it was a little bit difficult to get to. So if you're wondering, here's the answer. All you need to do to watch this show is get a VPN, set it to the UK, get on all 4. It's a free streaming service over in the UK, and you can watch the entire thing. It's supported by ads, and those ads, of course, that money helps Becky and Joe. It helps the channel on top of that. So don't watch any of these pirated versions or these rips. Go straight to the source. If you don't have a VPN, you should have a VPN. I'm not sponsored. It's just a good thing to have. It's convenient for stuff like this, and it also makes your data a little bit safer. So get on that. That's the advice I have for you. Little information corner before we get into the real video. That's how you should go about watching this show, and it's honestly kind of fun watching British commercials. This isn't praise of the show itself. It's just I've never sat down and watched British advertising before, and it was just a goofy, fun time. But I like advertising and weird marketing stuff like that. So maybe I'm just an oddball in that regard. But that's how you should go about watching this show. Now I can actually talk about it. So anytime you have to wait this long for a show or movie or anything, frankly, to come out, the hype train can get a little unhinged, I guess. It can fall off the tracks a bit, because ideally with your hype, you're building until this perfect peak point. And ideally right there, you release whatever you have. People gobble it up, they go all over it. It's the talk of the town for like 2 months, and then it hits a pretty steep drop off until you do something new. And we've seen weird stuff like that happen with Cyberpunk, where it builds and builds and builds, and then it's a big letdown. Now we're looking forward to something like Avatar 2 is another example of this, where there's been almost 10, however long it's been since the first Avatar movie came out. You have all this build up, and it's like, if you wait too long, is the hype not really there anymore? And that's kind of what happened here. The main difference between Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared and something like Cyberpunk is I feel like Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared executed everything just about perfectly. I have a couple of problems that we'll get into. One of them is spoiler related, so I'll let you know when that comes up. But overall, this show, for how long the wait was, like in terms of quality, I would say it's definitely worth the wait. It feels like the YouTube series was given more money and they said, okay, do a TV version of this. 6 episodes. That's an actual series that's really, really structured. You have structured jokes now. These characters have to be very, very clear. And that's one thing it does really well, is each individual character, red guy, duck, and yellow guy, they all feel like they have strong personalities, despite us, just now seeing them in this setting. And you could get that, I feel like, without seeing the original YouTube series. So that's definitely a great start for these characters, having them like readily apparent as who they are right off the bat. That's a hard thing to do, so more praise to Becky and Joe for that. And with how clear these characters' personalities are, it makes the way that they play off of each other, and when they get into these situations, these goofy learning situations, I guess we'll call them, the lessons of the day kind of structured to the show, it makes their ability to play off of each other work in this longer setting, because I feel like if they were more understated, like in the original YouTube series, it just wouldn't quite work. But it's like they exaggerated their characteristics from the YouTube series, and it works perfectly in that regard. And it still has a lot of great music. It still has a lot of fun gore and a lot of gross, kind of creepy moments to it. The only thing that it doesn't have, that a lot of people have been wondering about, is kind of that mystique, and I guess the theory ability is the phrase I'm coining for this. The MatPat style theories, where you do like 8 videos with red circles in the thumbnails. I've done this stuff before. I'm not taking jabs at anyone. I love that sort of stuff. I love theories and whatnot. I talked about Five Nights at Freddy's and Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared on this channel for like 4 years before I moved over to animation. So I can speak for that form of content, and I can speak for the fact that, having watched all 6 of these episodes, taking notes on them, I didn't feel like there was any mystique to it. It just felt like this was the show. This is what they were trying to put together. They're like, okay, this is the elevator pitch is a children's show gone crazy, kind of like a preschool, elementary show that gets a little too serious. The characters are saying weird things. Long elevator pitch, but That's what's going on. And it feels like that show. It doesn't have the same mystique of the YouTube series. However, it does try in one area, I feel like, to have that mystique and that mystery. And this is the one little bit I'll spoil from the last episode of the 6-episode set, I believe called Electricity, if that's the last one. So if you don't want any spoilers, skip to this time code right here in the video, and you won't hear them. But it's not the most serious spoilers. If they're gone now, good. You guys are going to hear the spoiler talk. I'm going to give them an extra second just to be safe. All right. All it is the plot of the episode basically is Yellow Guy's mind gets open and he becomes smart for a change. That's the plot of the episode. And at one point, he goes up in their house and he realizes that there's this old lady with like scars on her face and like a really dark demeanor, like manipulating things, and she's like in charge of the show. She's basically God. And I feel like they were trying to make that creepy and mysterious, and I feel like they thought it was more interesting than it was. It was the least interesting part of the entire show for me because it felt like a cliche of like mysticism, like where you're like, oh yes, it's a creepy old lady with scars on her face and she pulls all the strings. It's like that's nothing. That's nothing new. That's something I've seen in dozens of places at this point. It's just, and it stands out especially because this show is so unique and colorful and creative from every single facet of it with the animation and everything. So when there is something that I'm like, oh, I'm not into that, it stands out a whole lot more because everything else around it is like top tier creative influence. You have stop motion animation, you have puppetry, you have time lapse stuff, you have traditional animation. This show bounces around a whole lot in all these different mediums, and it does them all fantastically well. So when something bad happens, when something that's like, I'm not really into that, it does stand out a lot more. However, I will say, there was one technical problem I had with this show, and it comes with another technical proficiency. So now we're out of the spoiler territory. This is where you guys come back in right now. You guys just heard that part, now you're here, you're welcome. Is all I'll say to that. I haven't done one of these timestamps before. We're getting used to it. Anyways, the puppetry itself, the lip sync, because of the way they use the camera in a lot of creative, fun ways. And I really enjoyed like how much it was moving around. They treated it like a drama in some areas where they play with the perspective in one certain episode where it's like they freeze frame and then the camera flips to behind the characters. A lot of fun camera work, but it does make it more apparent when the puppetry is off, and it makes me respect like Jim Henson's Creature Shop a lot more. Also UK based, I believe. They just love puppets over there. With how expressive those Muppets are and how expressive like the puppetry is, you don't quite get that level in all the areas of the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared show. The lip sync is a little bit off. They're not quite as expressive as I would like them to be. But then again, it's not a huge takeaway from the show, I feel like, because it is supposed to be kind of uncanny and unsettling, so it's probably just a personal gripe of mine. I'd like to hear if you guys had any problems with that as well in the comments below, because it was something I picked up on that I haven't heard much about, so maybe it's just me. But as far as complaints go, there's that one instance, that one little spoiler, and then there's that, and I loved everything else about this show. Great music, hilarious, fantastic animation. If you're a fan of animation, definitely watch this. This is like Mad God level of like animation gushing for me, where I love so much about it, and they do a lot of different styles of animation too, so it's just a great showcase of all of their abilities. And unlike Mad God, it won't make you downright sick for the entire duration. Occasionally it'll make you sick, but not the entire duration of it. So if you want to watch Mad God, this is just a great year for animation, I feel like, at least for high quality stuff coming out. I know we've had a lot of problems with like HBO Max and this Discovery merger and stuff like that, and Final Space being impossible to find now, which really sucks because Final Space is a great show. But we are getting really high effort, high quality stuff coming out, like Mad God, like Smiling Friends, like Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared, like Guillermo del Toro's Pinocchio that's coming here in a bit. There's a lot of stuff to look forward to, and I know there's been some rough patches, but there's a lot of really great stuff going on right now too, and it deserves attention and praise. So, should you watch the Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared show? Yeah, you definitely should. It's hilarious, it's technically proficient in pretty much every single area. I cannot recommend it enough. Apart from those couple of gripes I had, I was definitely more bummed than I thought it would be that there wasn't that mystique behind it and that mystery that came with the YouTube series, but that's just one of the products of going mainstream to television, I feel like, because you have to lose a little bit of that and become more structured. As far as that goes, I'm happy with it. The one thing I would say to change, a little bit more attention with the puppetry, and then hopefully if they do get to do another series of it in a few years here, they incorporate maybe a little overarching, just creepy narrative, because I feel like a lot of people are looking for that from Don't Hug Me, I'm Scared. But as far as the score out of 10 goes, 9 out of 10, 9.5 out of 10, right up there towards that 10 mark, just a little bit below for me because of those couple of gripes I had. So go watch it. Definitely go watch it. It's on all four. Get a VPN. That's how you should do it. Get them the attention they deserve. And that's all I have to say on the matter for right now. This was a long time coming, and I'm very happy that I got to watch this. And I hope you all enjoyed as much as I did. Thank you all very much for watching this video. Let me know what you thought of my thoughts down in the comment. I try to read every comment on this channel, so don't be shy. Yours hopefully won't be overlooked. And let me know if there's anything you want me to talk about, because I'm looking for a few more topics for this Halloween. I have a couple of things figured out, and I really did fall behind with a video this week that I think is going to turn into a Halloween upload now, because it's creepy enough for it. So I might rework the thumbnail and some of the stuff in it to make it more Halloween-y, as it were. But yeah, it's exciting times, and I may have a big update for you guys here in a week's time or so about the state of this channel. All good things. Happy to say all good things when it comes to the update to this channel. So stay tuned for that. Like and subscribe to become a cow, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.